Now, one of the most influential blues guitar players of the last several decades was, without doubt, Stevie Ray Vaughan. When Stevie came out in the early 80s, the thing that knocked people out was not only that he was such an incredible lead guitar player, but his rhythms were so sharp, and he had such a mastery of the shuffle style along with everything else that he played. He was a really great guitar player. One of the records that he made that really caught people's attention was called Pride and Joy. Now, Pride and Joy is a shuffle, and Stevie tuned to E flat. I'm in the key of E. The Pride and Joy rhythm that Stevie played really combined two guitar parts into one, and he was inspired by earlier guitar players, and in some cases guys would listen to records and they'd hear two guitars but not realize it and think it was only one guy, and then learn to play them both, and then only later find out, oh, you can't do that, right? So this is kind of an example of that. This was a style of rhythm that you would hear on records by Jimmy Reed, for example, played by two or even three guitar players. Now, the trick is that you're going to play a bass line, and then you're going to play chord accents in between the bass notes. And let me show you some very important basic techniques to get you started. Starting with the bass line, we're in the key of E, and I'm going to play what's called a walking line. And this is all shown in its entirety in Figure 1, but I'm going to break it down for you. The bass part by itself, just on the E chord, goes like this. Okay, that's the first two bars of the bass part. Now what I'm doing is playing a line like a bass player would play, and if you play this in a band and the bass player does that, it's even better. So, just first finger, third finger. Now that's pretty easy to learn. Here's the trick. I'm going to play it using a slap in my right hand. I'm going to hit more strings than just the one. And in order to keep it from getting too kind of wacky sounding, I'm going to mute everything in my left hand so I just hear one note. Now it starts like this. I play the E chord, or I can pick up the A chord, and then I play the G sharp. And when I do that, I'm fingering the G sharp, and then I'm muting the rest of the notes by laying my fingers lightly across the strings. So I can hit it as hard as I want in the right hand and only hear one note in the left hand. Same thing on the B, on the fifth string. First finger laid across the strings, thumb over the top, mute. Third finger, all muted. This is the trickiest one. E, muting everything. Put them all together and I get this. See that my hands are very relaxed because I practiced this a lot. My right hand is a big stroke, has a lot of energy to it. The next part of the equation is to combine the muted bass line with upstrokes on the open strings. Being in the key of E, I can use open strings and not worry about it. So when I put the two together, and I'll play it real slowly, it should sound like this. Sounds kind of strange at that tempo, but played up to the normal tempo, it's pretty cool. Sounds like this: 3, 4. Now you create the illusion of a guitar playing the downbeats and another guitar playing the shuffle part on the upbeats, but they're put together. It's tricky and it takes a little time to get the two hands coordinated, but once you do, it becomes a very natural part. Now, you want to translate the same idea over to the A chord. Now, the B chord, you can play just the B bass note, or you can actually play a full B9 chord. It sounds even better. And then you continue the bass line. Now, when I play the open strings, whoa! But it actually works at tempo. Check it out. I'll play it for you in a second here. So, B, A, C9 to B9, really. All right, let me play the whole thing for you in tempo. This is figure 1, and it goes a little something like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now you notice the bass line changes a little bit, more like a walking line that the bass player would play. And at the end, I think I played a little bit differently than is printed on the page. But it's all tabbed out for you. You get the idea. It's mainly about the feel and getting those hands coordinated. Once you get it, fire the bass player. Take over. All right, have fun.